Hey everybody, happy Tuesday and welcome to FloTrack's The Meetup presented by Diadora. Performance first, crafted and tested at their Italy HQ. Diadora gear is built for speed, the choice of Marco Langen and Simeon Bourbon. Guys, we have a lot to talk about, but before then, hello, Olu Olamigoke. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you. It's good to be here bright Tuesday morning. Got a lot to talk about. Got a lot of fun things going on. Got some nice little surprises coming up. So
Yeah.
yeah, ready to be here.
So I think we should just get right into it. What's up, everyone? My name's Nia Gibson, but we have obviously there's only two of us. Johnny's on PTO, but our guest analyst is none other than English Gardner, legendary Oregon Duck standout, Olympic champion, and the 12th fastest woman in history over 100 meters with a personal best of 10:74. Everybody, welcome English Gardner to the meetup. Hey, girl. Hey, I
Woo!
missed you.
I missed you guys so much. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it. How are you?
I'm good, just been taking, some time to myself, figuring out what I want to do, what I'm doing this year, getting the plans, just coaching, having fun, living life, loving my peoples.
Oh
Yeah,
man, I
that's
love
that's
to
how
hear
it should
that.
be, man. Like no pressure, just chilling, enjoying the off season, or I guess it's how it let me not put words in your mouth. Like where are you at? How are things going on that front?
Yeah, I mean, I decided this year that I was going to take a little break, just mentally. I think that's a luxury that you can have when you're at like the tail end of your career. You can choose whether you want to do it or not. I've noticed over the years that I used to have like a added pressure, and then last year I just realized like I have nothing to prove. I did a lot in my sport, and if I just continue to run, it's just because I can and I want to, but not necessarily that I have to. So I'm taking some PT, some personal time this year just to be with family, maybe even like, just prepare for my second half of my life.
Ooh, would love to
Oh,
hear it. I love to hear it.
that sounds poetic, does it not?
I know, like, but it's such an example of how life after the sport doesn't have to be completely separate from the sport. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just said it, the second half of your life, but you're preparing for it while you're still competing and while you still have the ability
Yeah,
to compete. It says a lot, you know. That's a God given privilege to be able to do it, and I think you're really inspiring a lot of the people out here, including myself.
thank
To show
you.
that you could really be out here at the top of your game, but also do other things and live life. I think that's an example that needs
Absolutely.
to be shown.
Man, I
Absolutely.
love this.
Yeah,
You ready to talk about some track?
Let's
let's get
do
to it.
it.
Do it. All right, everyone. This weekend we just BU Valentine Invitational happened, and as it happens in BU, we are always going to get some sort of record, some sort of all time. But let's start off with Marco Langen. He did win the 3,000, and he became NCAA all time number three in the event with a time of 7:34 flat. I talked to him after, and he kind of comes with this swag that's not typical in distance running. Let's hear what we had to say.
When I smelled blood on all those guys, I knew I had to go for it. They passed you with 600 to go, and I knew that they was going to start bleeding, and they ready to bleed like I am. So just had to get back to the front with the lap left and show them why I'm the best. That's it.
That's it.
Smell blood in the water.
Dog in them. Got that dog in them. I love it.
He said they were
Yeah,
ready to bleed like I am.
that's a
Ooh.
statement. Ooh. And he said it shirtless.
Yeah,
He said,
right. His face is all red, his hair is all crazy. Yo, I ain't ready to bleed
Yeah,
like I am. Like, yeah, I
I
love it.
love
I
that.
love
I
it.
love that.
he's built different. And here's the kicker. He wasn't okay with his time. Like, before I talked to him, I said, congrats. He was like, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I would expect to run a little faster, to be honest. And it's like, all right,
Okay.
it's all good. I got nationals to do it, but like, yeah, it was all right. Like he was not impressed. But something that kind of had the internet in a bit of a tizzy, right? Did he impede Colton Sands? When I was watching the race come down to the last 50 meters, it was one of those things where, yes, sure, right? But I kind of looked at it the way I would maybe when I'm watching basketball. Sometimes let the players play, right? And I hate when sometimes we may get like officials come in, get into it, and it ruins a bit of like the legacy of that race because that was a historic race in its own right. Because while Marco ran number three all the time, Colton ran number four. And for it to be decided by, I think, other people that weren't those two athletes, I think would have been a little disheartening. So maybe by textbook standards, sure, but I'm glad it didn't happen. So I don't know what you guys thought about that one.
Man, I'm inclined to agree with kind of what you said. Like, I had to do my research. We were talking about what is impedance and whatnot, and I actually had to look up the NCAA bylaws. And I'm going to spare everybody the boring details about what they say, even though I have them right here in front of me. But essentially, it does point to the fact that, like, veering out of your lane, especially in the last stretch, is considered impedance. But is it considered impedance if the officials didn't call it? Because we, the people, are not the officials. We, the people, are the spectators. And as a spectator, I think we all won because, again, you saw the number 3 mark of all time, number 4. Great race. It was a foot race. It was like a street race. I got into track because I used to race kids in the street. And when you're racing kids in the street, part of beating them might be to just go. You want to take whatever advantage you can to win. That's a distance race. And distance races are a contact sport. And sure, if you look at the rule book, maybe it was impedance, and I'm not trying to discredit that at all. Let's not get that mixed up. But I think for what it's worth, it showed that who was wanting to win on that day. That's what's most important. So I think it's legitimate. If the officials didn't call it, then it wasn't called. It's something that's just going to have to go down as something that could have been called one way or not. But great race to watch. We all won for it, and congratulations to Marco. I don't think we can call it impedance if it wasn't called on the track.
100% agree with that. I think that's the culture of indoors a little bit. Growing up, doing Colgate, doing all of these at the Armory, you always have like the sense of edginess when it comes to finishing strong, especially if it's like, great competitors. And I think that if you hesitate, you lose. And he's shown how he wanted it a little bit more. And you just got to kind of like go with the flow. I can't even sit here and tell you guys that I haven't had a couple of elbows fly my way in indoor meets. So it's just like, it's a culture thing in indoors. I think it would be one thing if we seen that in outdoors where we have a little bit more room to kind of maneuver, but it's a tight space. And so I think that it was just a gritty race, and what we saw was just good old fashioned, like you said, street racing. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so glad we're all on the same page, guys. But we move forward for Valentine. Jane Hedengren and Riley Chamberlain, we got to talk about them. Riley goes number 1 all time in the mile, running 4:20.16. And in that same mile, in that same race, Jane goes number 3 all time, 4:22.22. And I think it's also important to note, both of them paced the 3,000. That was about 15 minutes after. Jane almost ran the entire thing. She dropped off with 3 laps to go. But, I was talking to Riley afterwards, and Riley said, yeah, she can go for days. Like, because Riley dropped a little after the halfway mark. She was like, all right, yeah, I've just finished running a mile. Actually, the number 1 mile ever in NCAA history. I think I'm good. They definitely had a bit of a workout on Saturday. So it was just interesting to see. And I think it hints at a lot of things, the culture at BYU and what they have going on within distance runners, and just the versatility between a lot of distances. And then Jane, as a freshman, being able to hit these all-time marks in even an event that's not her event. So it was very, 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 very cool stuff happening in Diljit's camp.
Yeah, we were just at Milrose Games, Nia, and you were talking about like how crazy it is that they just ran it out on the track doing a workout. Like it says a lot when you see high level distance runners. That's just another day in the park. They go out there and run the race like it's a time trial, drop a number 1 time of all time, and they get right back on the track to pace. Coach Diljit was having them do some type of workout. That was a workout day. They just happened to check the box of a record along the way.
What does that say about the confidence of the team too? It's like you almost kind of feel invincible as an athlete when you can trust your training like that and like literally have a plan to go out and just really get some good mileage in, but also like, let me just show y'all that I'm kind of like the one, it's like that confidence going into the rest of the season. BYU they're about to do something.
What does it feel to be like a collegiate miler or anywhere? I guess if you're one of the women in the college D1 right now, Division 1 right now, who runs anything from the 15 to the 5K, because that Riley just dropped the mile of the number 1 mile of all time, ran and paced the 3K. Okay, fine. Riley's about to graduate. But then Jane is a freshman. So it's like, dang, like where's your shot? I think we've talked about how trackflation, like this is no longer a matter of trackflation anymore, but this is now the norm. I think the ceiling has quickly become the floor, where now you can't just say that, okay, these people are dropping these generational times anymore. They're about to be out of here. There's just another one from Jane Hedengren that was just dropped at this past meet, and she's a freshman. Like, it's a scary time to be in track and field in college, yo.
It really is. Good thing I took the year off, right?
Right.
Yo, it's wild. I call
here.
them the monster out of BYU. Like those two, it's wild. And it's like, again, it just really hints at the dominance that BYU has across distances. I don't think Jane is running the DMR at nationals. She did say that, but oh my gosh, if she was, plus Riley, and I know they got some decent quarter milers.
Yeah, it's not fair.
It would go down. It would go down. But the thing is, they also have that depth where Jane doesn't have to, which is probably why she's not going to. She's like, I got some individual accolades to chase, to be honest. Right. But guys, so we talked about individual accolades. Doris Lemngole also won her 5K at the BU Valentine invite. She goes number 2 all time, running a time of 14:51:21. She was somebody else where, although she ran the number 2 all time, she wasn't satisfied. She was like, yeah, it wasn't a great day. She thought that the pacers were going to stay on a little longer to help her out with that pace. But despite her running a number 2 all-time mark, she was like, kind of not like happy about it. We didn't see that same energy we saw after she won Milrose games and like kind of threw herself to the floor, and you saw all these gratitudes and tears of joy. It was very much so like, I had more in the tank and didn't execute that the way I did. But even despite that disappointment, again, a number 2 all-time mark. So
yeah.
So, I mean, like, what more can I guess you can't expect anything less from a Bowerman winner, but I would love to know what you guys saw with that performance.
I see, when there's a thing called like redlining your body, and I don't want to say she redlined, but like, she went in Melrose, she had a great race, she tried to come back and repeat that performance, and sometimes your nervous system just doesn't show up with you. And to still do number 2 though, it's like I would be going home with like the mindset of, okay, yeah, let's go home, let's work harder, let's deep dive into what we can fix here or there, what went wrong in the race. I think strategically wise, she can just look at that, but I think she has everything. We're in indoors, you're killing it, like it's early, like yeah. I would be calm and stoic and just knowing that like I'm ready.
Yeah, like it's on the way. It's on the way. And that's a really good point you brought up about the nervous system. One thing, a coach I used to work with, he wasn't my coach, but he had a very good point that he brought up. He's like, a PR is like an outer body experience. You literally put your physical vessel and your nervous system through something you've never experienced before. You've essentially stepped out of your body to experience something that's brand new. And I think, obviously going back to Milrose's game is a prestigious event, whereas BU Valentine, I think it's not saying that it's obviously Milrose is the most prestigious event in indoor track and field, but I think BU Valentine is more like we've seen. It's a gritty event. It's like like we're here to really race. Like Milrose, you go there, you go to win. Milrose, BU, you come to race. And I think, and I can't insert my mind into Doris's, but I'm just gonna say, like, outside looking in, if I was in that place, she set the record, a collegiate record at Milrose. There's the emotionality of that, a PR obviously along the way of that. That's a big outer body experience. Whereas she comes here and maybe she did set a new PB or whatnot, but at the same time, it's not at the Milrose games and it's only number 2. So you may be subconsciously comparing the emotional and nervous system experience of what happened at BU to Milrose, even though both are generational performances, they don't necessarily compare on the actual emotional experience of it. And I think that might be why she was a little bit more tailored down in terms of how she, responded in her interviews. But also, that's the heart of a champion. There's another thing you don't want to. Another person I've worked with, like my sports psychologist, was telling me, he's like, sometimes you don't want to be, to your point in English, you don't want to just let the emotion explode, because that's also an experience that you have to recover from, that people don't really understand, like the nervous system and emotional aspect of competing at the highest level. So maybe Doris is just keeping that in the tank, keeping it for later. It is just indoor season, but like there's a lot left in store for her, and I'm really excited to see how this experience affects the rest of her season.
Yeah, no, definitely couldn't have said it better myself. It's one of those outer body experiences for sure. But I think just the fact that there's clearly more in the tank and there's disappointment there. So there's still that hunger. I think we are in for a whirlwind, and not only SEC is coming up,
Yes.
but also at nationals. Because like the demeanor wasn't there, but she also like explicitly said, like, I'm not that happy about this. Wasn't a great day to the number
Yeah.
2 all-time mark, 5,000 meters.
That's
I'm
so
looking forward to
gangster.
being at SECs next week. That's gangster. Like just
It's so gangster.
number 2 all time.
It's very
Number 2 to
You're
you. That's
watching a lot
not
of good track. I want y'all to know that. Like, this
yeah.
isn't like no play fluff stuff. We are
Yeah.
watching people just give it all to the track, and I'm excited to see what happens next. But to your point,
sure.
yeah, people come to BU not just to win, but to race and set all-time marks. And as we talk about that, real quick before we move on, Ellie St. Pierre, she also ran a world-leading time of 4:17.83 in the indoor mile as well. And she made the on route record in the 1500 with 3:59.33 as the split. So, guys, let's talk more stuff about around the oval. Keely Hodgkinson, she ran this weekend as well, guys. 156.33, a new British record, third on the all-time list at the UK Athletics Indoor Championships in Birmingham. For anyone who wanted to forget about Keely just because people are doing side quests, man, she said, hello, if you don't remember, I am here. So what did we see? I want to know what you guys think about that.
I seen a woman on a mission, and I seen a woman feeding off of the energy inside the stadium. Like, even like watching the meet, like the European Championships, they always come in and just dominate and show. I mean, as a U.S. athlete, I remember watching them compete and just being like, all right, I gotta go pull my bootstraps up. But she's sending a message, like you said. She's letting everyone know, like, I'm here, I'm ready to roll, and it's just indoors.
Yeah. I love watching Keely. I love how when Keely shows up, everybody pays attention. She had that moment last season at the end of outdoors too. It's like, all right, it's you know what she remind. Again, I'm a nerd. I say this almost in every single one of our episodes. But like, if you ever watched the it was one of the Avengers movies or one of the MCU movies in the first couple phases where like Thanos, he was like he had this. There's one point at the end of the post credits where he had the Infinity Gauntlet. He's like, he pulls up the gun. He's like, all right, I guess I'll do it myself. He's just sitting watching while everybody's fighting and squabbling amongst themselves. Meanwhile, he's just like counting his Infinity Stones on his gauntlet, and he's like, all right, it's time. Shows up, does what you have to do, wipes everybody off the table. In case you forgot, I love that energy. You don't have to get caught up in the mixiness. The people are doing this. We're on the spectator side right now. So, I mean, obviously English used to compete, but like we're on the outside of the sport where we get excited by performance. Whereas the athletes, they are just like, I'm just going to show up and actually perform. I love to see that. That's that championship mentality.
Keely reminds me of Kobe. I'll be real with you.
Yeah, that Mamba.
Yeah, she has that Mamba mentality because in like real life, when we talk about normal people, right? When she opened up her season the way she did last outdoor season, it was like a 154, something crazy like that. And to do that as your first race back after X amount of months coming back from injury, that's not normal. But she made it abundantly clear. I'm not trying to be normal. I'm not trying to be regular. I don't resonate with regular people. And sometimes when she performs, while she doesn't really have this like when you interview her, she's sweet, she's as cute as a button, right? But like her energy is very Kobe like, where it's like, okay, job's not done. There's something to prove here, and I'm still very much so the best. And even if on days where she doesn't win, you can always expect the next time you see her race, there's not going to be many moments where she's behind anybody. So that's one of the big reasons why I love watching her perform. Love watching her. It is a performance. It's more than watching her race, watching her perform.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. That's a performance. It's just like we're saying, like there's to run, there's to race, there's to compete, there's to perform. Like it's a performance.
And it's kind of like the Beyonce almost. Like she's an artist, but a performer though. Like ooh, gotta love it.
The full package.
Couldn't agree more, guys. And yeah, I think that's what we saw this week. This was a very special weekend for track and field. I'm gonna move on to Cole Hocker. He ran an American record in the mile this weekend. Another performance, 3:45.94 at the 8 pound invite in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This Olympic champ broke the previous record held by Yard Naguse, and he also became the second fastest indoor miler in history. Another one where, just like Keely, he doesn't just race, he performs. Like we also have Melrose game. He hit everyone with the Steph Curry night. When he wins certain races, he takes his ponytail out and shakes his hair. He's a performer. Anyone could race. Anyone could race, but not everyone can perform. What did we think about Cole Hocker's American record in the mile this weekend?
Dog. I every time I see this man step on the line, I'm just like, he is a dog. And track and field needs that. Track and field needs those, like I need to show the world like how bad I really am. Like, and he does that every single time. It doesn't matter who's on the line, what competitor, where he's at, coming around the bend. Like, he's like, this is mine. And I love that energy that he kind of brings to the distance side of everything.
Yeah, it's like we were just talking about off the air. Like, English, you and I, we come from an era of track and field where, like, if somebody, it's so crazy to think about this. If Steph Curry hits a game-winning three, night, this is just a random Tuesday. But if someone in track and field wins the national championship, let alone an Olympic Games, and says, "Oh yeah, I'm the best," we come from an era where, oh my gosh, I'll make headlines. Such and such is gloating. Such and such is doing all this, that, and the other. Such and such is their celebration appropriate? Why do we have to pretend to be so buttoned up when we're competing and performing amongst the greatest performers of all time in all sport? I don't think that we need to be showing false humility. We talked about this at the top of our the year, where like we are in 2026 is showing up and not being falsely humble, and out is acting like we're like really shy and coy. Like, let's show up. And I love that we just talked about it. Cole is a dog. This man is an Olympic champion. The thing I love about Cole is he loses. Cole loses and then comes back and wins everything again. He performs.
Yes.
Like, he lost to Grant Fisher last year at the Melrose Games, came back this year, bam, dropped everybody. Like, he just continues to, it's another one of those situations like a pressure cooker. We're like, all right, y'all gonna do that? Okay, I'm gonna take that on the chin. Okay.
Yeah.
Bam, now look. And I think we need to continue to see these athletes not be afraid to show up and be like, yo, this is what I did, and be proud of the physically and celebrate their the pride in their accomplishments, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a dogs only, no puppies allowed zone this weekend. I can't lie. This is a very special weekend in track and field, and especially with indoor track. I mean, I think like in this sport, you have like these greats who's going to do great things, but it might be one performance, two performance, maybe three. But there were so many guys. When I was like making the runner show, I was like, we can't talk about everybody, but we can't miss this. We can't miss that. And I was like, but dang, we can't miss that either. It's It was one of them weekends. And what also happened this weekend, my girl, Elaine Thompson-Herah, she is back. She returned to competition after 20 months. She dropped the 724 in the 60 meters. She told the Jamaican Observer that she's very happy to be back and admits that she had a little bit of butterflies. So I kind of want to see Elaine in a true indoor race, because Jamaica doesn't really have like indoor facilities like that. They did run 60 meters outside. So they were also like with the elements. It was high. It wasn't as controlled of an environment as typical indoor track. I believe there was also a bit of a headwind as well. So
that's
they were
scary.
running into for a 60. So 724. She's back almost after 2 years of not racing. I feel like this was very afraid.
Yeah, I needed this. I needed her to come back. Obviously, like, me and Elaine kind of came onto the scene around the same time. It was kind of when we first came onto the scene, it was like me and her put up against like Shelly Ann Fraser-Price and like Allison Felix and all of those big names that were still running. And to see her take a couple of years off and come back and still run 720 is kind of like solidifies everything that, like, I've kind of been preaching on this show. It's just like, you really don't track and field is a sport that you can make it your own. And I feel like coming out, first race, you have nerves, into a headwind, 7-2. Man, I would be smiling ear from ear all the way home in the car and definitely telling everybody that they need to buckle up because they're in for a show. I think that we're about to see a woman perform this season the way she desires to. And I think she's doing it her way. And I think that is going to propel her forward because that's something that I noticed when I finally started doing things my way. The performances just were easy. They were effortless and I was having fun out there. And a dangerous athlete is an athlete that's confident and having fun. So I think it's gonna be spicy. It's gonna be spicy this year.
It's going to be something great. I want to know your opinion, actually both of your opinions, because Olu mentioned this on a couple shows ago about age. He really doesn't think it's going to be much of a factor moving forward with track field with what we've been seeing. Elaine is 33. So how do you think training looks now? How do you think competing looks now? And how can she essentially still remain competitive with the caliber of talent that has, I guess, come to the scene since she's been injured?
I think like scientifically, right? Isn't it like 50 to 70 is when you kind of start dropping off with your speed? So I think a lot of people don't really understand that. If you consistently are in it and still training, there you don't really see a lot of drop off until like legitimately after your 50s, your like late 40s. And so even my testing numbers, right? So I will be 34 this April and my testing numbers last year were faster than my 2016 testing numbers. And I think that you kind of get a sense of muscle maturity. You're not you're not oblivious to what it takes to win at this age. I think that it genuinely was easier to run the older I was, which is kind of mind blowing because everyone thinks like, oh, you're old, you're not gonna run as fast. But it was like I showed up to US champs last year and I made it to the finals and I heard from my agent like Nike was blown away because they're like, she's she's still like running fast, like she has a chance to kind of make the team. And it's like, yeah, like you guys said I was old, but on paper them wheels still moving. So I don't think that we're gonna see her slow down at all.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I feel like as track and field, we get so caught up in the science and the scientific research, but we forget that science is always based on what happened in the past. We talked about how the ceiling is now the floor. Like, one thing people don't realize, and we notice, I think as triple jumpers, we kind of inherently know this, especially with the training group I came out of. I trained with a couple other Olympians from Ayan Alexander and Samir Lane, and then of course myself. And they made it to the games later in their 20s and closer to 30s, and even after the 30s, where you realize at a certain point that, or at least we understand as athletes, neurologically, going back to nervous system, let's keep going with the science fair today. When you talk about the fact that we've been doing this same movement pattern for decades, when you are a person who manages to take care of your body in your 20s, you can thrive in your 30s because you no longer need to pound away to make the physical gains that you made in your teens and your 20s, but your nervous system, neurologically, you got it. So at this point, the game changes. It's not about like, dang, I got to go pound. Yes, we still got to run the hills. We got to do the repeats. We got to be hurting in the fall. That's just natural. But it's not like we need to be pushing the gas and redlining all the time to make the gains like we did when we were younger, because now we've reached a level of physiological and neurological maturity. At this point in your 30s, the reason why I can go put some trainers on, even though I haven't competed in a few years, and still go out to the track and jump right now is because I know how to take care of my body physically. In your early 20s, you kind of have to beat your body down so that your body can recover. And that way, that's how you build your strength. But at this point in time, nervous system is set. I just need to make sure my soft tissues are good. I need to make sure I'm in a good alignment. I need to see my chiro. I need to be focused more on my recovery. So once my body's good and I know the nervous system behind it is also solid, you have a baseline of performance that you can always go do. And then you can slowly make some physical changes incrementally that you might need to make in your 30s that you wouldn't have to make in your early 20s. And that's where performances come from. So let's stop acting science dictates the future when science is only history and whispers of the past. What happens in the present really matters, and we're really rewriting these books. I think we need to stop being so married to what we see in the scientific books as a track and field community.
Okay. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree
Sorry, I just
more.
had to get on my
Yeah, no,
soapbox. That's something I'm
yeah, it's
passionate about.
very real. No, it's
Yeah.
very real. I want to talk about two athletes that really showed up this weekend as well. I'm starting with Jordan Anthony. This weekend, he ran 6:43 in the 60 and moves to 10th on the all-time list in the event. And also Julian Alfred, she runs a world lead of 6:99 in the 60. They were, listen, people were moving this weekend.
Sliding.
No puppies allowed. No puppies.
699.
6:99 in the 60.
Before
Jordan Anthony ran
tax. Ooh.
3 in the 60. Yeah. You
Listen.
hear those numbers? What do we think?
I want this for Jordan so bad. I feel like last year his confidence was like through the roof because of his NCAA performances, and then going into like the pro circuit, I think that he got a little bit of a I wouldn't say culture shock, but like an awakening of what it actually takes to be a professional sprinter and what the environment is like. And I was hoping and praying that didn't taint the confidence that he had built in NCAA. And I think that we're past the learning curve. I think that from this point on, we're going to see a Jordan Anthony that just is outright the man that's supposed to be in between those two lines. He's going to be on the line, and he's going to be ready to go every single time with his swagger, with his grit. He doesn't care who's on there. He's like UPS. You tell me where to deliver the package, and I'm gonna make sure it's there. You know what I'm saying? So yep. I think that this year we're going to see him finally step into his professional role. He got the kinks out. He got all the cobwebs off. He's with this coach, and he's now, really buying into the system. I think the person we seen last year at the end of the season was a person trying to relearn what they're supposed to be doing. And I think now in the future, we have someone who is kind of secure in what the foundation that they've been building. He looks amazing. Yeah. So I think it's going to be great.
It looked his welcome to the pros moment. But to your point, I feel like, all right, this has passed. Now I'm very much so here. I'm very much so in the thick of it. I'm this, and again, you gotta be scared of me. Ola, what do you think?
Man, I mean, I really have nothing to add to what English's point is. I think it's the same thing. Like, you learn to start trusting your training. You start trusting the structure around you. Now you can know that, okay, we're staying with the theme of emotionality and nervous system stuff on this episode today. So let's keep it going. When you don't have to spend any emotional energy on about like, okay, my coach has me doing this thing. Maybe should you just take it, you trust it, you go, and then you start to see the results of that. That's what you're seeing right now with Jordan Anthony. I mean, honestly, when you start to not have to put any energy other than just to performing, because you could trust your support system around you, it helps you elevate that much more, because it's one thing to run at 90% or compete at 90% of your capacity, but to really start putting world leads and staying consistent at the top of the game, it takes that extra 5%. It takes that extra 2%. And that extra 2% is often lost when we're concerned with, what do I eat? Or is this really what I need to be doing programmatically and all these other different things? So we're seeing the results of trusting your training, being coachable, and also not forgetting who you are when you enter this thing. Yeah.
I also think too, like even with Juju,
yes,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I think last year she was coming off of like that high of being the champion and trying to navigate a whole year after that. And now I think this year she's like, all right, y'all had y'all fun.
Yep.
I'm back. I'm mentally back where I was when I was dominating.
Yeah. And it's like she's basically saying, by the way, y'all realize last year I was just stretching my legs a little bit, right? You realize that, right? Like, y'all had some fun. You know what it likes to feel that what weight of a gold medal around your neck is, but let me step back in this thing real quick. That's what you're seeing. People trust the training. Like, it's a maturation of staying the course.
Yeah, I think people are really starting to forget because it's like they get so enamored by people, I guess other people winning. Obviously, no shot to MJW, but it's like still, even on a pulled hamstring, she still medaled at Worlds. and that's
Okay.
not something that's
Okay.
easy to do on a pulled hamstring. And I would love to be a fly on the wall actually with her and Flo's coaching sessions because, this time last year, Flo had her in longer events, 300s, even some
Yes.
400s. Because relay, she ran the 4x4. Right now, it seems like they're very focused on this, like her bread and butter of the short sprints in the 60. So I'm wondering what the tact is right now in what her indoor season is, how that's going to translate to outdoor, and what were their learnings from last year's, what they take away from that, and if they're still going to implement some of those longer races, maybe outdoor season, because I guess clearly not indoor. So that was like
That's
something that I
rich,
picked
actually.
huh,
I
Yeah,
would love
that's actually a good thought.
I would love to see the macro cycle and the periodization that Coach Flo has written out for her, because in 2 seasons' time, and we know how quickly 2 seasons go, we're going to be talking about the games again. And
Mhm.
so I would love to see, to your point, Nia, like there was longer distance stuff there she's working on last year. Now she's kind of doing the opposite, working on her strength and her bread and butter. I would love to see what that progression is going to look like. I know we'll never see it, but I'm just saying, like, I know that Coach Flo knows what he's doing. And again, Juju,
Flo knows.
Flo knows. Flo knows. And Julian, she's so locked in on what she's doing. Like, look,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna withhold what I was gonna say for another episode, but let's just say things gonna get real scary in real
They
soon, I
working.
think.
They working.
Yeah.
They working. They
They
building.
Yeah.
are working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see what's happening. They are working. Everyone's working. Such as
Mm-hmm.
as in addition to Cooper Luckyhouse, guys, what a
Mm.
kid! Another world U20 record for the
Stud.
youngster. He ran 44:03, and
Mm.
that actually places him sixth on the world all-time list. Guys, he's a baby. Like I
That's what
want
I'm
you guys.
saying.
He's
And
young.
fearless.
144.
Oh three,
03.
almost 143. Indoor.
I'm scared.
You know, it's crazy because we talked about this and like we've been talking about this for the past like 3 days. But I think just now seeing the number, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
144. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It's scary. It's
if
scary.
he
Yo.
slightly to another gear, that's 143 point.
Indoors, guys. Indoors.
Indoors.
It's not far-fetched to say we potentially looking at the future world record holder.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
I mean, now
What?
the matter is when. Is he gonna do it indoor
And the
too?
way
Like,
he fearlessly runs too, so it's like
yeah,
we might not even have to wait for it, if that
yeah,
makes sense. Like I feel like he's a
Yeah.
person that could literally step on a track and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go out here," and then do it, and then be like, "Oh, that was nice," like because
yeah,
he's so green. He's like so.
yeah,
I wish I had that fearlessness at his age. Like,
yeah,
when I was
yeah.
his age, I was still like throwing up in the trash cans before I stepped out onto the track and like not like, you know what I mean? Like just not. I mean, every time he steps on the track, this guy is like, I belong here. And to be that
Yeah.
young and have that mentality, like I belong here, dangerous.
So
Dangerous.
dangerous. And that,
It's
the point where that arc came, that obviously was USA's. I mean, we already knew his trajectory,
Yes.
but take the mark out of it to see how that had an effect on him going forward as not just an athlete, but as a man, as a young man. Like you
Yes.
see, this is what we got to understand here. Who you are off the track only benefits and magnifies who you are on the track. That race last year at
100%.
USA's gave Cooper a level of maturity that he was exposed to that grown men in their 30s don't ever get the opportunity to experience. So now he's stepping
Yes.
into an off year with that experience of last year. Man, this kid, like, he's headed to the moon. It's a wrap.
Yep.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
it
It's just a
definitely
wrap.
is. He yeah, no, I can definitely see him breaking the world record in the near future. And it's funny to me because obviously there's still a ton of competition in the 800. And we talk about this. We actually talked about this on the Athletes Lounge last year. Emmanuel Wignoni is just
Yes.
not getting the respect that he deserves, despite being the Olympic and world champion, because he hasn't touched David Rudisha's world record. So
Yes.
I guess, is there a world where he potentially may not get that because we have someone like Cooper who's coming up in the ranks and quickly with youth on his side?
You know what I think? I think we're in for a situation kind of like we saw with Yari setting a world record and Jakob going right back at it. Not this now.
Yes.
Because Emmanuel, to your point, Emmanuel is also a dog. He's not going to be okay.
Yes.
This young kid, like I know who I am. Just like we just said this with Keely. We just said this with Juju. You can't count him out. I think it's
Mhm.
going to be a
course.
matter of like in terms of world record. Like if Cooper gets it, Emmanuel's probably going to get it, and if Emmanuel gets it, Cooper might go ahead and get it. And if they're in the same race at the same time and the weather is just
That's
right
it
and the
right there.
atmospheric pressure is working out, we might see a world record get sliced with both of them under it by the former world record by a margin. Yeah.
Yes.
And
That's where
that
my
world
mind is
record's
at
no
too.
joke. That's
Yeah.
a
Them
140
in the
point
race
800.
together. Oh,
Mm.
please, track gods,
Yeah.
please.
I
We
know.
pray,
Like,
track gods, we pray humbly in spirit that you make this happen.
You make it
For
happen.
all
let's
That's
do
gonna
it
be
at the
sick.
London Diamond League and let's all go. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do it. Like, hey, like, yo, we'll just
Yeah.
sprinkle it into the atmosphere right now. It's gonna happen.
And Athletes Lounge live from London, y'all. We're claiming it.
Yep.
Claiming it.
Facts.
Yep.
I just
Ooh-wee.
know.
Yeah.
I would love London's one of my favorite cities.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it's not
Mhm.
about me, but like I think we'd have a lot of fun.
Yes, we
We'd
would.
have so much
Hands down.
hands down. I love that you guys brought up world records though, because Caleb McRae actually broke the 400-meter indoor
Mhm.
world record this weekend. He ran 44:52. So if we talk about athletes where it's like, hello, I'm still here, remember me, Caleb has been having a phenomenal indoor season, and it looks like there's just no slowing him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's sliding. That's all I got. We're sliding.
For me, I look at this as like we had a series of a lot of championships back to back to back, right? And I seen like after Tokyo, I've noticed that a lot of athletes, they had just a hard time kind of like turning over and continuing with that like elite performances. And I'm thinking that like he's finally at, I can't speak for him, but it just seems like he's finally at a place now where he's like, okay, I feel recovered from Tokyo. I feel better and I feel ready. And what a statement this man gave us was like, oh no, yeah, I was chilling, but I'm back. I'm ready.
Mm. Yep.
And
And
that he
to
is.
that point, like we got so spoiled. Part of the reason why, okay, trackflation has to be brought about by we can't act like it's not exist that what we had to deal with the pandemic does not directly lead into the trackflation we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as we've said, we're moving out of the track. I think there was the pandemic shutdown phase of the world of
Mhm.
track and field. There's the everybody who went underground and got trained got real serious. There's the condensing of all that with all the championships, which has never really happened like that before. There's the
Yeah.
performances that happen as a result, and now we're seeing the residuals. And the residuals aren't
Mhm.
necessarily a dip. The residuals are, as I said, the ceiling has now become the floor. What we used to say, man, those are crazy performances. Now we can expect that on a level playing field, and it only goes up from here. Now, I'm not going to sit here
Yeah.
and say someone's going to drop a 42 point next week, but again, let's look
Who
out. Like we're in
knows?
2026. You never know. For one thing, could be another 16-year-old just drop out of nowhere, right? But then on the
Yeah.
other, we only have a handful. I'm always looking forward. We only have a little bit of time before this is an off year. This is an off year in
Mhm.
the performance we're seeing, and we know what happens in the
Right.
year before in the year of the games.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It is. And I mean, I think too, perfect way to segue actually into what's hot in the games. We could potentially be seeing Cordell be running in the 110 hurdles, but also jumping for Team USA in LA or even World Championships prior to then. He made his return to long jump this weekend. He jumped 8.29. Yeah, very much
Casually.
so casually.
Casual.
And I mean, like when we
First
spoke
time
to him at
jumping.
Millrose, he made it clear. He made it clear. He's like, listen, I'm an 8:30 jumper. Why couldn't I do it again? He has the athleticism.
Mhm.
It's very much so there. He's very much so has the mindset. And he said it in a very matter of fact way, where it was just like, yeah, no, I do this. I'm actually a jumper first, if in case you didn't know. And I don't see why I couldn't make a team for both this and that. I just happen to be really good at hurdling.
I love when an athlete does what they want to do. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
maybe the rebel in me. Like he's like, you're not gonna box me in. I'm not just a hurdler. I'm a great hurdler. One of the best in the world. but I'm also really good at this too. Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
a
and
guy, man.
his first time back on the runway in how many years? I think his previous PR was like 8:24. So this is a PR for him by like 5 centimeters
That's
or something like that.
nuts. That is
So
so
yeah, like
nuts.
that's the furthest he's ever jumped, like a legal jump, 8:29. And he did say I could jump 8:30. He just jumps 8:29 just casually. I think we gotta. We also. I don't want to take away from the field event side of it because obviously what what did he just do? Like, this is the third best mark in the world right now. That's kind of crazy. But also, let's see how this is going to translate into his 110s because as we know, the transition, the correlation between hurdling and jumping, long jumping really plays a role. From what I saw, and I've only watched, I don't think I've ever watched him long jump in the past. So I don't have anything to correlate with, but just looking at his approach at Tyson, I mean, the man was running, the man was gliding, but it even looks like he still has maybe he was going at 30%, 70%. That's not to say you can see another 30% increase in terms of performance just tomorrow, although you could. But what I mean to say is that like refinement and technicality, he could be more upright. He could be turning over a little bit better. He jumped 8:29 doing that. So
Yeah. It's stuff
you
left on the
know what I'm
table.
saying? There's
Mm-hmm.
stuff left
Mm-hmm.
on the table. So there's centimeters, potentially feet left on the table. So
Ooh,
it's a
this is
really exciting
scary.
time to be a track and field.
Yeah.
We're getting so spoiled. We're getting so spoiled.
We are.
Especially with
Yeah.
people just pursuing just things that we're not used to seeing them pursue. Because as we
Yeah.
continue the side quest update, Faith Kipyegon, she ran her road debut 10K in the 10K. She ran 29:46, and I want you guys to know this is 14th on the all-time list, and she'll actually be running the 3K at Diamond League Monaco. But I mean, I
Wow.
feel like
Wow.
this is kind of Faith. Faith. One thing about Faith is
Yes.
she's never going to disappoint. And as we were saying earlier in the show, she doesn't race; she performs, regardless of if she's on the track and now on the road.
Put
Yeah.
your faith in
Yeah.
faith, man.
Put
Facts.
your faith in faith. Look, she's out here gotten young girls believing, especially since last year. Like, man, it's just we are so privileged to have a figure that is Faith Kipyegon in this sport right now. I mean, her name is Faith, but then to see how she moves as a person and how she's so
Mm-hmm.
fearless in what she does, they put
Yeah.
together that whole breaking forth. Like, come on, man! Like, even to attempt
Amazing.
that,
Oh,
how much guts does it take to attempt something that you know that if you fail, everybody's watching?
yeah.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is a win because you realize it's not about the performance itself. You're stepping on
Mm-mm.
here knowing that what you're doing is bigger than the sport. It's bigger than breaking. That is
Yes.
like how she's such an inspirational figure. Just living and breathing the same air as her is a privilege, and I think she's not someone who's arrogant and tries to remove access to herself. So
Right.
I love to see that she went out and stepped on the roads because now she's showing that, and also that helps the sport. Like one thing you don't really hear me often say because I think it's being said too much. Good for the sport, but this is really truly good for the sport. Like Faith
Mm-hmm.
Kipyegon to step off the track and step on the road. Now you got all these people who know who Faith Kipyegon is. Yeah, she's a track athlete, but maybe are just casual runners. Oh, she ran a 10K? Oh, I can do it too. Maybe she ran
Mm-hmm.
that fast, but if she can step away from the track, maybe I ran track in like in middle school. We get that all the time, but like maybe I can actually go outside and run a 10K now. Like we're so blessed and privileged to be in the
Yes.
same living space as her right now. Like don't take that for
Agreed.
granted. Yeah.
And I want to piggyback off of that because within her attempting to break forth, she said she dared to dream. And
Yes.
that in itself is just, it's good for the sport, but I think
Goosebumps.
so
Yeah.
transferable to like everything else. Because at one point, just women competing in the Olympics was a figment of people's imagination. Like that just wasn't a thing. It wasn't that long ago when women were allowed to even do that or run above 800 meters because they didn't know the capabilities of our bodies. We can do whatever. And it was far fetched to be like, hey, but what if a woman wanted to run a 1500 or run this or run that or, you know? And I think when she said, I dare to dream, if it's not going to be me, it's going to be someone else. But the fact that she is now the catalyst of like making that happen and making that attempt, it says a lot. And I think this is one of the things that adds to trackflation, daring to dream, because there's these times that
Yes.
people are and women that would be so like out of this world as little as 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's only crazy until someone does it.
Exactly.
And then it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Or at least
Exactly.
it becomes the norm over time. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that all across the board today. Like
Absolutely.
from every event. And
Absolutely.
if I may, I just want to throw another thing in there. I know we were just talking about side quests, but like Look at Yulima Rojas, who came from a ruptured Achilles tendon last year to just in her first competition, not her first season back, first competition back, gets a world medal. Comes out this past weekend from a 14 stride approach, jumps a world leading time of 14.95. Again, we're talking about things in these performances where, like, if someone would have done that 10 years ago in the sport, that would be all the talk. But now this is just yet another check box to check. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's kind of like Ryan Krauser, you know? His first competition back last year was at World Championships. He does it. He wins. He goes about his day. It's something to say about. That was his first competition. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's so crazy.
It's just something to note within, if we talk about like field event athletes, this grit that they have. I think it also goes hand in hand with the person. Like, they have some of the best personalities in track and field, if not the best.
Yeah.
So like there's something in the water. And to the point you guys was making earlier, age don't matter. It don't matter.
Age ain't nothing but a number. Throwing down clearly is nothing but a thing, because these it's like all across the board. Age ain't nothing but a number if you're 16-year-old Sam Ruth. Age ain't nothing but a number if you're 33-year-old Elaine Thompson-Herah. So like it's all across the board.
Hey man, I'm gonna let the times do the talking. But as we continue our side quest update, guys, Andre DeGrasse, he was in the Celebrity All-Star Game this weekend. I just love how the NBA is incorporating the track athletes in this, because they are definitely celebs in their own right. I didn't know he could hoop.
Man, well, you know, like I know Nia personally, and I would hope that she kind of helped him a little bit with his little ball game a little bit, but I'm super excited. I think that all of these sports should mix in. I think track and field would skyrocket if we could. I think like even when like DK Metcalf came in and he ran a couple of races with us, and people were able to see like, okay, this is football fast, but track fast is a lot different. I think if we can start intermingling a little bit more, I think it would help the average person really understand how these professional athletes are professional and what really makes us these people that you want to watch and view on TV and see these great competitions and these great performances. And so I'm all for that. The whole let's do celebrity games, let's get more athletes to come into track and field, let's get us to go into their sport. Like, this is what we need.
Yeah, like so the mixing and mingling and like the cross pollination of at the end of the day, we're all world class athletes. So that's what needs to happen. Like, world class athletes mixed with world class athletes. You see basketball players showing up to the Super Bowl. You see Super Bowl championships showing up to the NBA finals. You see them all going to MLB playoffs when they happen. So why can't track be in the same conversation? In fact, it should be. And I think we are seeing that. I mean, you got meets that are happening with Athlos, bringing in, celebrities and all this stuff. I think over time, this is becoming very normalized. And I really, this is my own projection that I hope we can come back. I'm going to come back to in about 4 years' time in 2030 and look at how this ages. But I really think that with LA 2028, track and field is the crown jewel of the Olympic Games, right? Mm-hmm. So with LA 2028, the Olympics coming to the LA or to the US now, and we know what the US does in terms of shifting the global zeitgeist and the culture around the country, around the world. So, this crossover, what I'm trying to say is we're going to see NFL or Super Bowl champions at the Olympic Games watching track meets. We're going to see all these other athletes from different sports, world-class athletes at the Olympic Games watching track and field. So I think it's only going to continue to go up until, again, it becomes normalized, and then we have our new norm.
I want to see, even like, let's push it a little further. I want to see these other athletes competing within track. On my wish list is Jaylen Brown competing in multis. He is extremely athletic. When he goes up for those monster dunks, when he switches, when he's able to play, like, I think all ball basketball on both ends of the floor, I think that would translate really well to track and field, and specifically the decathlon. I would love to see that. You know what? Let's call Trey and tell him to train him.
Yeah,
I think when the season ends,
why not?
Do it.
I got a side quest for you, Trey. Guess what you should do? I'm gonna pitch it to him, and I'll report back.
All right,
but guys, The Austin Marathon was also this weekend, and there was a man who ran in jeans. I'm gonna let the picture speak for itself. Yep. He ran
Truett Haynes.
2:36:56. Um, yeah, I mean, like, listen, there's a lot of things. I actually hate jeans. I find them to be very uncomfortable. But to run a marathon in them, I don't know what you guys thought when you saw this
That is
picture.
impressive.
Like
Mhm.
Truett Haynes is his name, and not only is it now, people do crazy things all the time. I just want to know, how did this start? And I think we probably should have a conversation with Truett at some point. But it's one thing to run a marathon in jeans, which is it one thing that's insane. But how did you even get to the point that you started running marathons in jeans? When did you run your first
Because he
5K in
dared
jeans?
to dream, Olu.
That's
He
what I was
dared
gonna
to dream.
say.
That's
It's
why.
the theme. He's daring the dream, man. He's daring the dream.
Oh,
He
like he was
dared to
dreaming. I don't
dream.
know. Man, he must have been running in them dreams wearing the jeans. Woo, wee. I hope he got a good denim sponsor. And you know what? I'm gonna have to give. Look, he's got aura for it because his name is Truett Haynes, and he was wearing a pair
Mhm.
of Hanes boxer briefs. Haynes. I think his last name is spelled differently, but y'all need to come up with some limited edition Truett Haynes
Yeah,
version
man.
stuff
Yeah,
because
man.
this is an
Maybe
opportunity.
jean
This is your
style.
cultural
Jean
moment.
style.
Yeah, yo, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Like
Yeah.
you have to do it. This is how you capitalize on a cultural moment, Haynes. Don't let this moment pass you by.
Absolutely.
I'll give you that one for
There's
free.
a dream. Yes, we love it. But guys, we also got an update. Fred Kerley today, his charges were of battery were dropped. That was the thing he got arrested for, leading to his arrest in Grand Slam Miami, and he took it to Twitter. Y'all really took me out that meet and try to replace me. You can't replace me at Grand Slam track. And I mean, we're all hip to, I think, the financial issues of Grand Slam right now. But even prior to all of that, I'm sure there was an arrest is probably an infliction of some contracts, and he probably did not get paid for that meet. And with the charges dropped, he was not shy about, I guess, essentially calling Grand Slam out despite all of that. Um, I mean, I get it.
It's real
Yeah,
tough.
I mean, this is what happens when you take Mr. Say No More and you make him Mr. Bet on Yourself. You know what I mean? And he's just in this era right now where he's like, I'm going to put all my eggs into me because I know that I'm not gonna fail me. I'm gonna do
Mhm.
everything that I need to do. And I think that Fred is unintentionally going to change the culture of our sport on the business side. I think that he's going to be a catalyst to just make our sport, um, I won't say necessarily more fair, but more athlete minded and
Mhm.
not
Okay.
necessarily just so consumed by names and companies. I think that he is going to change the culture of athletes believing in themselves. I think he is showing the theme that we have for this show where he's literally daring to dream. He's calling out these huge organizations. He's backing it up with performances. You know what I mean? So he's going to for sure revamp, I think, how athletes approach track and field from this point on, because he's creating his own lane, and that has never been kind of seen before. I've always came to the game and everyone's like, this is how track is. This is the way you go. You get an agent, you sign with a company, you do this, you do that, and he's like, I'm gonna do whatever loves me, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the coolest part about Fred Kerley is he's not doing it. I mean, I don't know him personally, so I can only say what I see as I view, but I
Sure.
feel like he's not doing this because he's trying to change the game. He's doing it because he's staying true to himself. So if there's
Right.
something that anybody takes away from this, it goes right back down to it. Stay true to yourself. There are going to be
Mm-hmm.
people who are going to talk bad about you. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
badmouth you. We already know that Fred Kerley is like a lightning rod for controversy. And
Yeah.
whether that's fair, whether that's deserved or not is debatable. But regardless, he is true to himself to a T. I think we all of us can learn that. I'm not saying what to say, how you should behave. Whatever you do out in the world, make sure it's true to you. And I think Fred Kerley,
Authentic.
because he's authentic, because he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
shift or shape, he's just Fred Kerley in whatever room he's in. To your point, English, that is exactly what's happening. He's now, just like we saw, you know, other athletes on the track perform in such ways that opens our minds to ways that we can perform even better. I think he's showing us how demeanor can exist. Like your demeanor can be true to who you are without having to shift up or change to fit into this small box that we call track and field, instead of just being a world-class athlete who happens to be really good on the track.
Yeah.
Very well said. Very well said. I'm very happy that the charges were dropped. I'm very happy that he's been consistent. And I mean, I think it goes to show he had a lot of energy for this for clearly very good reason. And very clearly good reason. So good for him. All right, before we end off the show, English, I want you to answer this question. Olu, Johnny, and I did this last week where we were like, who is your dual event GOAT? I had Gail Devers doubling up in the 100 hurdles. Olu had Safan Hassan just killing it in distance on the track and then also on the road. Johnny had Anna Gibson, who's killing it everywhere. She's in the Winter Olympics
right now at the Olympics.
Yeah. So tell me, who's your person?
I'm gonna go with the great Christian Taylor, man. He is a phenomenon. I have some stats here that I wrote down a little bit. So not only is he one of the best triple jumpers in the entire world, right? One of the best jumpers, period. I think he did both long and triple. But a lot of people don't know his 100 meters, roughly around like 10.76. His 200 meters is 20.7, but his 400 meters. This is what sold me. His 400 meters are 45.17. So you have a jumper who can go around the track. That's unheard of. But even still, his indoors, we've gotten a 6.79 out of him. So it's like, for a jumper who has only focused on that for so long, to have this range of just great quality performance, it's like, how can you not think about Christian Taylor when you're thinking about a dual event GOAT?
Nah, you got that.
I didn't know half of those.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy?
One of my favorite athletes.
We have those videos on FloTrack. We have videos of him racing like Angelo Taylor in the USA on the Florida relays. I think he ran 45 point. That's split. The thing about that blows me mind. Like I had to compete against Christian Taylor a couple times, and it was always like,
it's also
in high school, you know what I'm saying? It's like in high school you show up, it's like oh, you're jumping. Damn, I guess I'm gonna get second. Christian is like, but he's such a great guy. And that's the other side of it too. So it's like such a humble person, man. It's like as a competitor, it's like you look at what he does, but it's also you also realize, hold on, he's the second greatest triple jumper of all time, 18.21. So that's almost 60 feet. Now let's just leave that in its own little bucket. That's just because he decided to go with the triple jump. The man's also jumped 27 feet in the long jump. He's also done all the other things you mentioned in the sprints. He could be a world-class athlete at any given event from the 60 to, well, I guess technically from the long jump up to the 400. He just happened to choose the triple jump. What would have happened if Christian decided he was going to be a quarter miler? What would have happened if Christian decided he was going to focus on the 100?
I'm a little not disappointed, but I would have loved to see it after his injury if he would have just dabbled and dibbled in a little bit of straight running, let us get a little taste of what we never got. I mean, you have nothing to lose. You're a GOAT. You have nothing to lose. As a matter of fact, Christian, if you're watching this and you're not spraying oil on your joints, come on, bro, come back and just give us just a little bit, man. Give us something.
We can send this clip to Christian. I'll just text it to him. Christian, if you see a text coming from me, bro.
Guys, I have no notes, and I think it's a perfect place to end the show. Olu, this was great. English, thank you for joining us. Please come back. I'm begging you. We need you.
Of course. I'd love to meet up.
That seat is open for you wherever you want to be. We got you.
Especially when we're in our new office and our new studio. It's gonna be very much so. Welcome to our crib. You are more than welcome to take the shoes off. So on that note, guys, thank you guys for joining us. What'd you say?
I was gonna say we all gotta sign the door again at some point.
Yeah,
we got new doors.
Yes.
So
All right, we'll run it back. It's going to be like the old one, but enhanced. No pun intended. But with that being said, guys, that is episode 42. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you don't love. And that's it for this weekend. We will see you next Tuesday.